everyone, and welcome to Go-to-Market AI, the future of your go-to-market tech stack. I'm your host, Sarah McConnell. These days, it seems like every company has AI, but on this show, we want to go a level deeper and show you firsthand how businesses are actually applying AI to solve your business challenges. We're going deep into the use cases and showing you live demos of the latest and greatest in AI technology. Today, I'm joined by Matt Sornson, CEO at Clearbit. Matt, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Very happy to be here.
Okay, tell us a little bit about Clearbit. Who are you guys? Who are you helping? And what do you guys do in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So Clearbit is a B2B data company, meaning we create data sets that are useful for B2B teams, specifically marketing teams, sales ops, rev ops. That's really, the center of our bullseye. And we create, curate, and maintain data sets of basically every company in the world that has a website, key buyers at those companies, and then a bunch of different intent signals to help you identify when accounts are ready to buy, when high quality ICP accounts are signing up, and basically trying to help B2B companies, find the signal in the noise that is our massive market that we all play in.
Yeah, and I know at Qualified, we are happy Clearbit customers. I know we use it in our own product and we find a lot of value in it, and you guys helping us sort of unveil and understand accounts and who they are and where they're at. So I'm excited to get to the demo because I know we use parts of your product, but I haven't seen some of your new AI functionality, which is obviously the whole point of the show. So Matt, with that being said, I want to get to the good stuff and let's go behind the scenes in Clearbit and learn a little bit about your AI functionality and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'll take half a step back here, and I'm actually relatively recently back to Clearbit. So I'm one of the Clearbit founders, and I came back just almost 5 months ago, a few days shy of 5 months ago, specifically to rebuild Clearbit using LLMs, large language models. LLMs are going to change a lot about how we do business work. This podcast exists because people have so much curiosity about how AI is going to change our work. But in the data space, LLMs have the ability to change how we do things like very, very, very quickly. They're really good at two things, more than two things, but two things specifically that impact us. One is categorization. So choosing between options, and the other is extraction. So pulling data attributes out of unstructured text, audio, video, etc. So I'll show you kind of what Clearbit is at its core, and then how we're using AI to improve our core data set. Because that's really where almost all of the AI is being applied to our business and our products, is on the data itself. So
awesome.
Here, basic Clearbit lookup. Let's just do me for sake. So it's a simple lookup here. And we pull back, information about me. We do this for any email address, any domain name, any IP address. And a couple things here. So role and seniority. These are pulled out of titles, and we're using AI and LLMs to recognize all of the variations of role and seniority that you can pull from titles.
Oh, so that's super cool. Okay. Yeah. And so can you push this data into like your systems? So like leadership and executive, all of this is usable data for your teams.
Exactly. So it's basically just structured data that pushes down into every single system and every tool. And so this data exists in Qualified for people that are using Qualified. It exists, Salesforce, HubSpot, wherever you want that.
I love this as someone who's had to build in previous roles in ops, the like weird formulas of like, if title contains this and this and this, then make their seniority or their role like sales or marketing. So being able to use AI to do that is super helpful.
Totally. And this is something we've done for a long time using kind of like traditional machine learning. Now with LLMs and specifically vector embeddings, we're able to do this at like a scale that we've never done before and in any language. So previously, there's like a lot of writing, rules and mapping rules and regex to figure out what title equals leadership.
Yeah.
Today, we have a much, much, much more robust version of that. We can do it in Japanese, we can do it in Chinese, we can do it in Arabic, we can do it in English. And it's pretty amazing what we can do there.
Yeah.
So that's one example. Another really good one here is all of this stuff down here. So basically everything below this line is categorization. It is what industry, in any different type of industry categorization. So whether you use NAICS, whether you use SIC, whether you use GICS, tags, we have over 1,500 tags now that are like hyper chosen for what B2B companies care the most about. You have technologies, technology categories. With LLMs, we can really just expand the amount of categorization we do, and we can translate it into any other categorization type. So if you have a specific set of industries that you really care about, this makes it easier and easier to customize that for you. Again, go ahead.
Oh, no, I think this is really interesting. I think data cleanliness and data clarity is just something I think that gets overlooked a lot by go-to-market teams. Obviously not by like ops people who are in it every single day. But I think having this level of granularity to segment out audiences as a marketer, that's my first thought is I'm like, this is incredible because I don't just have internet and software services. I can go so much deeper and create so much better segments for my advertising, for my sales team, for my outreach that before took so much manual work for my ops team to try to get me these segmentations. So I love seeing this on the back end of Clearbit because this is something that I personally would find so valuable for our team.
Yeah, it really just expands the service area of how much we can do and how customized we can get.
Awesome.
So this is the basics of what we do. Like you kind of said earlier, this gets pushed down everywhere. So, in our world, this gets sent down to Salesforce, HubSpot, Marketo, Pardot. You use this data to shorten your forms, to fire off sales alerts. We use it in Segment, in our CDP, pulls in G2 data. Like basically, if you can think of Clearbit as like your data control center where all of your different data flows in, enriched with hundreds of different data attributes by Clearbit, and then pushed back down into your engagement systems or your go-to-market systems.
Very cool.
All right. Well, I think in terms of places that AI gets used the most, it is mostly in the data. There's a couple things I want to show you that are coming soon, and depending on when this goes out, may already be live. So we've built an all new prospecting data set and prospecting UI that has kind of AI at its core. And we're using AI in a handful of different ways here. The biggest way that we're using AI is to recommend the right prospects at companies. So now we're recommending prospects, not just based on your search criteria, but also based on the data in your go-to-market systems. Mm-hmm. So your closed won opportunities, your active leads, your target accounts that you may have set in the system as well, or your target ICPs. And we can recommend based on the website activity patterns we're seeing, the CRM patterns we're seeing, the buying power of potential new prospects, all of this using LLMs and some kind of standard machine learning that doesn't even feel like AI anymore. But to really create like personalized and predictive prospecting versus just, role seniority and employee count.
I feel like this would be so helpful as like, I imagine a new SDR or AE joining the team and they have to build up their pipeline and they're doing prospecting. And I know using ourselves as an example, like we have multiple personas that we can sell into that are involved in our buying process. So having AI and Clearbit being able to ingest all of the data that a new SDR might not know, which is like, who is the most common champion on our deals? Like who is most likely to influence them? Who's on our website the most frequently? And recommending that to them would save them so much time and like wasted effort because they're outbounding to the wrong people or people who aren't buying as they're learning and ramping. So I have to imagine this helps any SDR and AE ramp time to generating pipeline just so much faster.
Yeah, and it's like a virtuous circle as well. The idea here is the ops team gets to set, this is our ICP, this is our target accounts, this is who we're going after, and that gets fed to your frontline reps. But also the contacts and the prospects that they're choosing to outbound to or create, it gets fed back into the system too of this is who the sales team wants to go after. This is who we're watching the behavior of our frontline folks. I've been calling it in some ways, it's like, it's Tinder for the reps and it's like the Netflix recommendation algorithm for the ops team.
I love that so much. I feel like any of those B2C examples are just really understandable. And I really like that analogy. I do think from a sales rep's perspective, I just think AI is really cool when it comes to taking out variability of error, which I think you have here, which is like, as a rep, you have all this insight and like who's actually responding and who's engaging, but then there's all this data and bringing those two together can be really, really difficult. And once you have large teams, there's so much variability in what they think and who they think is the right fit. Having AI help guide them and sort of create guardrails, I think is just so beneficial for generating high quality pipeline that's actually going to close win revenue.
Could not agree more. And actually, that's a really nice segue. I'm going to show you something that we haven't really shown anyone yet.
Ooh.
It's an internal tool we're working on, but it really does a lot of the same things that Clearbit does for our customers, which is taking, unstructured, vast amounts of unstructured data and turning it into structured, useful data for your go-to-market team.
Awesome.
So for you guys at Qualified, what do you guys use for sales qualification? Do you like MedPick or Bant or anything along those lines?
I think it's MedPick. And if my sales team is listening and I said it wrong, I'm so sorry.
And do all of your reps fill out every field completely all the time in Salesforce?
No, I can almost say that with certainty, just any fields in general. And sales team, we love you. But I know Salesforce cleanliness is not your cup of tea or the places you like spending your time.
Yeah, and no one does. It's like, in some ways, it's a waste of time. But for the ops team or the marketing team or product marketing team, that stuff becomes really, really valuable, especially at scale. So we've been building this little internal tool that takes, I don't know if this drop down is showing, it doesn't look like it, but basically it takes one of our reps, all of their different calls, and then builds these. So it takes the transcripts of all these calls, the data from Clearbit about the company and the people that are on those calls, so what their roles, titles are, and then the data from Salesforce or HubSpot, so you can build a perfect MedPick answers, so fill them out pretty completely based on the output of all of these different calls, automatically write them down to your CRM, Salesforce in our case, and build some really, really nice kind of like human readable summaries. So what the customer cares about, what we know, what they're looking for. We've even been playing around with, drafting that next email. Every one of our reps is using this now, and our enterprise reps, or those with the most complicated deals, say it saves them somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes a day.
I'm very jealous that your reps are getting to use this, because I know our entire ops team would love it if our reps had something that would do their med fill in for them.
Another pretty cool thing here is, because of the way this is built, say you changed the qualification framework you were using or added a new field that you really cared about, you could run this, run a backfill, basically, which runs through every single call, everything call transcript, and pulls out those answers.
That's awesome.
Super useful for product marketing, advertising copy, all that kind of stuff.
That's really cool.
But I think in terms of AI things, that's most of what we can show you. I'll give you one last little example here. So PayPay, big Japanese company, might be somewhat hard if someone signs up with this domain name to basically understand, what they're doing. And so let's see how Clearbit does with this. Go to the lookup. Live demos are the best.
I was going to say live demos are stressful, which is why we warn people ahead of the show. It's going to be live.
Exactly. So I think about 4 months ago, this would have come back with a Japanese description and no categorization, no industries, anything like that, because we weren't able to basically translate that.
Yeah.
Let's give it a go. All right. So it has written us a English description based on the content of the site and other places. We've been able to match it to industries and tags and everything else that is kind of dependent on us being able to translate there. And this might feel like a small thing. Translation's been done before. This works for any website in any language in any country. It has increased our international coverage by tenfold. Still ticking up. The way Clearbit works is kind of a live creature. As people send us requests, we build these profiles. And this has had such a massive impact on our customers, and especially some of our larger international ones. It's one of the things I'm most excited about that we shipped.
I would say this is really cool. I feel like especially for global sales teams, this has to be so impactful. And I think it just goes back to that cleanliness of data and time saving of not having to do that manually. This is really cool.
Yeah, data drives good decisions, and in order for that to work, the data needs to be clean and standardized. And especially, I'm sure you're running into this to some extent in this series, but all of these different AI tools, whether they're copilots or chatbots, they need consistent structured data to have consistent answers. And we're excited to provide that.
I think I'm really excited, Matt, that you joined, and thank you so much for taking us through this, because I do think data cleanliness is something that probably gets overlooked pretty frequently. I think, at least personally, when I'm thinking about AI and we're thinking about like generative AI and it can help you with all this like writing and sending, but when we think about time saving or productivity, I think data cleanliness is something that doesn't get talked about enough. And I know from my end on a go-to-market team, bad data is just such a killer for good marketing campaigns and effective sales and marketing alignment, because the data's not there and you ask me to pull reports or build segmentation. And if I don't have clean data, that is just next to impossible to do. So I think into this demo, I hadn't really thought about AI in the context of using it for data cleanliness and the impact it can have on productivity or teams and how they're pushing really consistent data into their systems. And I think this could be, I see the power of this for any go-to-market team, even our own, just thinking about how we think about like segmentation and data.
Yeah, I think generative AI is amazing. Being able to quickly write and create campaigns, emails, etc., is very, very cool. However, the art of a really, really, really good email or a really good ad campaign, we can get there faster with AI, but AI doesn't necessarily solve it. What I do think LLMs and well-designed LLM-based systems can do is take out so much of the busy work of filling out fields, like generating reports, pressing send on internal tools and internal reports. There's just so much efficiency gain that's possible there, and it's been really, really fun to work on.
Absolutely. And that's why we wanted to do this show. Is I think there are so many different types of AI and how they can be used in our day-to-day business. So I'm glad that in the shows that we've done, I think this is a new type of AI that we haven't talked about as frequently. So it's good, I think, to bring our viewers and start to like expand our knowledge base of like all the things that are out there. So this was awesome. With that being said, Matt, is there anything else in the demo that you wanted to show? Otherwise, we can move into our lightning round Q&A.
I don't think there's too much to show from the demo perspective. I think for anyone that anyone's a current Clearbit customer and hasn't yet, which I know a lot of our audience is, come say hi. We'll refresh and re-enrich your database for you with all the new AI data if you haven't done that in a while. And we can show you the difference.
Awesome. Okay, so moving into lightning round Q&A, which is how we're going to wrap this episode today, Matt. I have a couple questions for you. The first one is, how long have you been building AI into Clearbit? And I think you touched on this in the beginning, and I love that you're kind of like a boomerang story, that you were there and then you came back just to build this. So I would love for you to expand on that.
Yeah, I think we've been actively building on top of LLMs for about 4.5 months, maybe 5.
Awesome. And then everything that you just showed, I know we already touched on this a little bit, but I want to clarify for viewers on the show, what is generally available? And it sounds like there's a few things that are coming here in the near future.
Everything you've seen except the kind of sales call notes and summary is live or about to be live, depending on when this goes out. And all of the data improvements, every time we improve the data, that's just immediately going out to customers. So we're constantly working on that.
That's awesome. And speaking of customers, who are some of your current Clearbit customers that are benefiting from Clearbit AI?
Yeah, so every single Clearbit customer benefits from the better data. So it qualifies. Great example.
Yep.
We've got customers across the board. We've got the Stripes, the Atlassians, the Asanas of the world. We've got some, the smaller startup folks as well. We've been in this data game for quite some time, and feel very lucky with who our customer base is.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys really do, I think, span the gamut of like customers. You talked about some of your AI benefits that you showed there at the end that are going to help these like really large global enterprise type teams, but then you also have customers down to, I know we've been a Clearbit customer since we were a much, much smaller company. So you guys really span, I think, the whole customer base and who can benefit, because I don't know who can benefit from clean data. So that's awesome. And then what is next on your AI roadmap? What is your vision for AI at Clearbit?
Yeah, I think I showed a bit of a teaser with the prospecting data set and doing this personalized prospecting kind of at scale. I think that's one of the things we're most excited about, is the ability to build that system out. So prospecting is going live, kind of being relaunched right about now, and really excited to keep building on that out that use case functionality throughout the year. The kind of deal intelligence, that MedPick piece I just showed you, that may be a product we launch. We're not sure. It's an internal tool. We really love it. Not positive it'll make it to GA, We have a lot of internal tools that we think about turning into public products, but never make it. So we will see. And all right, I'm gonna get really nerdy here.
I love it.
Vector embeddings are untapped and like unappreciated, I think, in the data world. And they allow us to do categorization at a scale and a efficiency scale that we just never have been able to before. So we're now able to build a custom tag based on kind of anything you want. So one really good example here is like the pains that you solve. So you could take all of your jobs to be done, turn each one into a vector embedding, and we can run that across the entire B2B world, but people and companies, and tag every company and every person with a KNN like similarity score to whatever that job to be done that you solve is. And we can give you a prospect list or a scoring attribute that is completely custom to your business.
Awesome.
So you probably have a good answer for this as a marketer, but when you're thinking about your target accounts and your ICP, give me the paragraph version of what that is.
Yeah, so we're going after high-tech B2B companies, and they have to have Salesforce, and our sweet spot is anyone that has web traffic over 10,000 a month.
All right, so you just gave me the answer of someone that's been really trained into like attribute-based searching and scoring. Talk to me like I'm a fifth grader and describe, or maybe not fifth grader, maybe I'm in high school, but describe what Qualified does for who.
Yeah, so we are helping companies in the B2B space drive more pipeline from their website. So the way I like to describe it to, and I won't say a high schooler, but someone, let's say, stops by an event booth and is like, I've never heard of Qualified, what are you doing? Essentially, anytime someone is on your website, we're trying to figure out what's the best way to convert them into pipeline. And we can do that through a number of different things, whether it's chatbots or live chats or meeting schedulers. But at the end of the day, when someone is on your website and they're showing interest, we want to try to fast track them in a really personalized way to turn them into a new opportunity for your company.
Awesome. So we could take, in this new paradigm, we can take everything you just said, turn that into basically a paragraph that fully describes all of the different ways in, all of the different things you might solve for someone, and then go score the entire B2B world against that. So that's websites, that's job postings, that's news articles, that's podcasts, it's conference keynotes, and find people that are talking about the problems that you solve, and bring it back that way in a much more fluid, human understandable and communicatable way versus saying B2B uses Salesforce, has this many employees.
That's so cool. So to your point, my first answer, and I swear for the people listening, we did not rehearse this ahead of time. I just happened to give the answer that led Matt into the learnings there. So like, as a marketer, I'm really used to, because I have to from a segmentation standpoint. Like I need to know all of the like technographic and geographic data sets of what we consider our target accounts. But what you're saying is with vector embeddings and with Clearbit AI, we could instead take that so much further into what people actually care about and when they have problems with this. So it's going to help tell me like, yeah, you think these are like the technographic attributes that you need for your target accounts, but instead like, here's the actual people and accounts that are having these problems and much more likely to convert.
Yeah, it lets you do like intent-based prospecting and pain-based prospecting using natural language, which I think is how most of us communicate and think about these things versus the abstractions that are, data attributes.
That is really cool. And Matt, I am now going to turn around and put you on the spot. And this also was our plan because you said you wanted to nerd out. So I'd love for our listeners to also be able to nerd out on this. Can you give us just a brief description of what vector embeddings are? So if someone listening, they don't know what that is, and they're like, hey, that sounded really cool. What does that mean for them?
Vector embedding is pretty straightforward. It is a string of text that has been turned into a numerical representation in three-dimensional space. All that sounds nerdy, but it's just a number. It's a number basically that represents a string of text. That makes it much, much more efficient to find other numbers or text that is similar to that embedding.
That's really cool. Okay. See, we learn something new on Go-to-Market AI every time we do an episode. Matt, last question for you. Are there any other AI-powered products that your go-to-market team is currently using and loving that you want to tell listeners about?
Yeah, absolutely. We have been lucky enough. We were part of the ChatGPT for Business kind of alpha beta over the last four months or so.
Very
the
cool.
team is using that really heavily across sales, go-to-market, ops, and by far and away, Copilot. I think Copilot on the engineering team, we easily added 20 to 30% in efficiency. I'm making that number up. My VP of engineering might yell at me, but we are moving faster as an engineering org than we have ever before, and a huge part of that is thanks to Copilot.
That's awesome. Well, Matt, that is it for our show today. Thank you so much for joining. I think Clearbit, like I said, we've been customers for a long time. I've always found so much value in what Clearbit offers to us, but going behind the scenes here and being able to see not only what you're doing in the back end with AI, but what's on your roadmap was very enlightening. So thank you so much for joining us today.